Great, recording the session now. Okay, my dear Andrea. So last times, like the last weeks, we have been talking, or in the previous weeks, we have been talking about connecting ideas in different ways, right? So we have been talking about connecting ideas regarding the time when we talk about as soon as, before, after, right after, ever since, ta ta ta. We were connecting ideas because of the importance of the ideas, working with even if, unless, in case that, taking, provided that, now that, but many different connectors. And also the other one, the previous ones, connectors of contrast and connectors of the information of the people or the places, which were the WH words, no? So we have been connecting ideas in many different ways. Ideas that we already know how to use, because of course we know how to create an idea in present simple, we know how to create an idea in present in simple past, in present perfect continuous, yeah, no problem. But the idea of these weeks has been to connect our ideas, no, using but, using moreover, using on the other hand, using despite, using when, who, what, where, using a lot of different kinds of resources. Today, we're going to continue doing this, right? I am going to start this class with a question. Hmm? Andre, do you remember the last time that you felt scared? When was the last time that you felt scared?
Scared es como miedo,
Yeah, like asustada. When was
atemorizado. Ah,
exactly?
eh, the last time, I don't know. Mm,
Well, I'm going to tell you my experience, and then I give you some time to like think about the last time. For example, the last time that I felt scared, I was riding my motorcycle, and we were with my wife, right, with my girlfriend, and a man, a homeless person, a person that lives in the street. Well, we were in the Bogota's downtown, which is super crowded, right? Right, similar to downtown in Medellin, no? Like it's super crowded and the people are walking all over the place, so it's kind of a chaos, right? And I was riding my motorcycle back home, and the man, who I suppose was drugged, I suppose, he started to cross the cars, but like out of the blue, it means de la nada, yes? The next thing that we knew, the man was in front of my motorcycle and I was super fast. I broke, like I tried to brake, like brake, like frenar, so I tried to brake, but I didn't fail. We didn't fail, fortunately, right? But to make a long story short, I was totally scared because I thought that we were going to crash and end under a bus or something like that. So that was what happened that day, right? What about you? When was the last time? Could you please tell us the story?
teacher, I don't like the blood. Is correct the pronunciation.
Day?
La sangre,
Ah, the blood,
blood.
blood.
Okay. Eh, the last Saturday, eh, my father had a surgery, and he had a wound. So he was uh, he was moving too much.
Mm,
So in one of the of wound, uh, started to bleed,
to bleed.
to bleed.
Mhm.
Okay. So I had a, a to make or to do
Depending.
a, a, the healing.
Ah, okay, got it. So you
to
had to take
to do
care. Uh-huh, uh-huh.
to do healing.
Okay, yeah, like I tried, like healing, it means curación, pero no es esa curación como cuando le
No es
decías
esa
esa
curación.
curación.
Ah, ok.
In that case, I had to take care, ¿no? Or I had to attend. Attend, como atender de wound, right?
Ah,
O
ok.
take care. Digamos que no hay una expresión como hacer la curación, como lo tenemos en español, sino atender o cuidar, ¿no? So I had to attend the wound or I had to take care of the wound.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Okay. I had attend one,
Oh my
and
God.
so I saw the blood. And I
Andre,
don't like
oh
I don't
my
like
God. Where is the wound? In what part of the body?
um, in the no sé cómo se dice, teacher,
What?
ombligo.
Ay, no, come on. No, 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 no. Well, we have two different ones, two different words. The technical word is navel. Navel, it means
Neighbor.
ombligo. Pero
Okay.
normalmente la gente le dice belly button, como el
Ah,
botón
okay.
de la pancita, pues. Pero
Sí.
normal, el término oficial es navel, navel.
Yes, the wound is in the belly button.
Ay, fuck. It was a hernia? What he got a parent?
No, eh, he had a, how do you say cálculo?
Stones. Well,
Stone.
depending if it's kidney, kidney stones, es cálculos renales. Y el otro, no me acuerdo cómo se llama, vesícula,
En la
pero
vesícula.
en la vesícula y es, I think that's like Billy's stones. Bueno, stones son como piedras, que son pues cálculos, right? Ujú.
Yes.
Okay. Oh my God, no, come on.
But
I-
the wound is small,
hmm.
but but in uh, the anyway I always uh, had a scar
I always
of
feel like,
the blood. I
good.
I
Muy
always
bien.
I always feel.
Exactly, yes. Well, yeah, the wound is small because it was a laparoscopy, I suppose, right? That's
Yes, yes.
exactly. But anyway, it's very, for me, it's very impressive. Everything that it has to do with the navel. For example, when the people, well, I don't know if you have seen that, but some people try to be like point on your navel, and it's very impressive for me. I don't like that the people touch my navel. I don't know, it's uncomfortable for
It's
me.
the same for me.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, very good, Andre. Well, so in that case, you told me a lot of information. You told me a short story. And what you did was telling the things in order. Well, you connected your ideas perfectly with time hours. Last Saturday, last weekend, when he was moving too much, and you use one, which is really important, which is the connector. So, in order to give order to the story, so you said, so he was moving so much, so but for not using so many times, the idea is that we can change it for others that also we can use. For example, then, for example, next, for example, after, for saying like, y luego pasó esto, y después esto, y que pueden reemplazar so perfectamente. Of course, so no está mal. Solo para no usar siempre so, I can use other different ones, right?
Okay,
Bueno, my
teacher.
dear. So the idea is that today we're going to focus on how to connect the ideas in a story. The story it's used with the different past tenses, no? So we can have the past continuous, we can have the simple past. Remember that the past continuous is for talking about the context of the situation, what was going on. So you said, I was riding my motorcycle. I am telling you the context, right? For example, your father had surgery, but the problem is that he was moving so much. So that's like the general context of the situation. And then the simple past is for talking about specific information, especially the next action. So when I am talking about a story and I want to mention the next action, what happened after, Usually that's going to be with simple past, right? Not a difficult, like not difficult to understand. Past continuous, simple past, it's easy. Remember that in this case, we have some connectors, when, why, where, right? And in addition to this one, we have the past perfect. The past perfect, which is had, the past perfect, which is had, like the verb in past participle, is used for talking about something that had happened before. So in that case, we said that, for example, why your father had surgery, because he had had, or the doctor had seen some stones in the, I forgot how do you say vesicula. I'm going to look for that because I am curious about it. Wait, vesicula, wait, let's find out. Vesicula is with V or with B? Is it like that?
That is correct.
Yes. All right. Vesicula. Wait, here in Spanish. It's the same, vesicle. Blister is
Basic.
the one, yes. But basically, I think it's Mercavia. Yes, that's the one, vesicle. Well, I didn't know that. So in that case, well, what we're doing is that here. So for using the past perfect, we can say, for example, that my father had surgery because the doctor had found before the surgery, the doctor had found some vesicle stones. Okay, very good, easy, no? So in that case, we have the three different tenses: the past continuous, the simple past, and the past perfect. Hasta ahí, nothing new. Yes, it's good. Now, but the thing is that when we talk about a story, we have to give some details to the story that help me to attract the attention of the people, right? And those kind of things are going to be done, of course, using the connectors, right? So until this part, questions, Andre, about the connectors, or is easy?
Yes, teacher.
Easy, right? So also we can have other different tenses, like for example, the present perfect simple and the present perfect continuous, if the story continues, no? So for example, usually when we talk about the story, we start with the simple past, so usually with the past continuous, no? But if it's a story that continues until now, until the present, it's very possible that we're going to include the present perfect or the present perfect continuous. For example, when we talk about the news, right? When we talk about the news, it's pretty common that we use all the tenses: simple past, past continuous, past perfect, and present perfect continuous. If you remember, the present perfect is have and very past participle, no more, have or has, right? And the very past participle, and it's for talking about something that has happened in different moments, but not continuously. For example, I have worked in many places. One time in 2013, then I quit, then another time in 2015, I continue to work in that place, and then another place in 2021. Yes, but in different moments, the action is not continuously, right? But the present continuous, which is have or has, plus the verb been, plus the verb in ing, right? That one it's talking about that starting in the past and continues until the present. For example, I have been working, well, actually it's here. I have been working for Smart for for 9 years already, right? So I have been working here for 9 years. It's an action that started in 2015 and continuously has been passing until now. The news are going to use that kind of tenses. For example, I am going to have, going to read, let me just show you a story. But wait, I need to find the story. Let me show you. Okay, no, this one no, this one not, this one, that's it. Okay, Andre, could you please help me to read this piece of news?
Late at the last Sunday night, the valuable guitar of Juanes was exhibited in the city downtown. Unfortunately, right at the midnight, the lights of the exhibition were turned off and the guitar was robbed. For weeks, the rumor of a group of fans trying to steal it has been listened around the media. Nevertheless, the guitar has been exhibited many times for the last month. Nowadays, the case is investigated and evidence is collected in order to solve the mystery. Some statements have been listened so far, and they point out to a major complot in Colombia.
Very good. So, well, late as last Sunday. Yeah, so I'm starting with the first connector, which is actually a contextualization, right? It's like when, okay, last Saturday, Sunday night, right? The valuable, this word is called valuable, right? Valuable guitar of Juanes was exhibited in the city downtown. Here, this one is unfortunately. This
Unfortunately,
Exactly. This syllable, it's going to be omitted. So, unfortunately, right at midnight, the lights, da, 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 da. Look that the first sentences are in simple past. Was exhibited, this passive voice, but simple past. Right at midnight, the lights were turned off, simple past. The guitar was dropped, simple past, right? For weeks, the rumor, in that case, it's not going to be a simple past because we're talking about 4 weeks, including this week. So 4 weeks, the rumor of a group of fans trying to steal the guitar has been listened. Then I start talking about present perfect because of course it's something that continues until now. Nevertheless, the guitar has been exhibited. Present perfect because it was not only one time, it has been different times. And it possibly is going to be exhibited later, right? Well, in the last months, no? So, of course, connectors. Nowadays, no, it's going to be connector of time, similar to the first one that I used in the last Sunday, for weeks, no? So, those connectors are going to help me like, okay, I continue with the contextualization of the situation, right? Nowadays, what is the meaning of nowadays? Do you remember?
mm, hoy en día.
Okay, yeah, very good. So when I say nowadays, I start a new contextualization and then I say, okay, it's not about the past anymore. It's about the present. So the case is investigated, right? Simple present. And evidence is collected, right? Voz pasiva, pero del simple present, right? In order to solve the mystery, and some statements have been listened, no? In present perfect from the past and also including nowadays, right? And they point out to a major complot in Colombia, right? Of course, we have other different kinds of connectors, such as nevertheless, unfortunately, yes. So here, the creation of a text, the creation of a story, or in this case, a piece of news, is made using sentence, sentence connector, sentence, sentence connector, punctuation, period, or connector, sentence, comma, sentence. So it's going to be that the way in which we can create a longer text. Ready? Eh, Andre, any question on vocabulary over here?
Mm, teacher, no me acuerdo qué es lo que significa so far.
Hmm, Another connector. So far it means hasta el momento.
Ah, ok.
Yes, hasta el momento o hasta ahora. Ready? So in that case, all of those connectors are helping me to connect the ideas that I created with simple past, simple present, and present perfect, right?
Teacher, y la
Yes.
última parte, they
Yes.
point out.
Point out es un phrasal verb que significa señalar. O
Ellos
sea,
han señalado un complot.
exacto. Entonces, los testimonios que se han escuchado hasta el momento han señalado o señalan, pues, hacia un complot, hacia un complot muy grande, o major complot, es como
Ah, ok.
es major complot, in Colombia. ¿Ready?
Ok,
Point out
teacher.
literalmente es esta acción, que es como con el dedo,
Señalar.
¿no? Exactly, pointing out. That's it. ¿Listo? ¿Ready? Bueno, my dear. Notice that in this case, most of the sentences, most of the verbs are configured in the passive voice. Was exhibited, was robbed, were turned off, have been listened, have been exhibited, have been listened again, is collected, is investigated. Why? Because normally the news are written in an impersonal way. When I say impersonal, of course, it's no person, right? O sea, sí tiene sujeto la oración, pero no es una persona, porque pues realmente
Es
no
como
se
cuando en el español escribimos en tercera persona, algo
Algo
así.
así, algo así es cuando, digamos, las noticias son como, bueno, y el caso está siendo investigado porque se han recogido pruebas. ¿Quién? No, pues, no sé, la policía. ¿Quién lo está investigando? Pues, un detective, supongo, ¿right? Como las noticias son tan ambiguas en cuanto a personas, generalmente se escriben en forma impersonal. Y la forma impersonal en inglés es la voz pasiva, o sea, usando el verb to be plus the verb in past participles. Si recuerdas la voz pasiva de is done, it's no sé qué, etc.
Yes, teacher.
Excellent. Entonces, remember that the passive voice can be in any tense. Passive voice in simple past was exhibited. Passive voice in present perfect has been listened, has been exhibited. Yes. Passive voice in present simple is investigated, is collected. Yes. Lo que cambia es el verb to be. Was, has been, is. Y el verbo después siempre past participle. Right? Entonces, esto pasa mucho con las historias de las noticias. Right? But of course that we can talk about also anecdotes, personal anecdotes, no? And in that case, you can use passive voice or active voice, as we were doing before, right? Well, in this case, we're going to have present perfect, present simple past. Oh, well, so yeah, it's basically the same. We're going to have like a personal anecdote in which we can organize all of this information. Yeah, the idea is that we can do it or we can organize all of that using the correct connector or the right connector. For example, I always tell the story of how I have been or I changed my job. I was working in Smart in one branch here in Bogota, but face-to-face, presential, right? And well, like in 2020, in 2019, the COVID was discovered in China, right? So next year, in February 2020, the COVID arrived to Colombia. Ready? En ese caso, como voy en orden, digo the COVID arrived to Colombia. That's it. Right? In April of the same year, yes, in April of the same year, the next thing that we knew is that we were working online, right? Yes, the next thing that we knew is that we were working online. They sent us to work from the house, right? But in April of that year, my salary came down, right? O sea, they reduced my salary. Why? Then I come back y cuando me devuelvo, I see my salary came down because the COVID had arrived to Colombia. Cuando me devuelvo, ahí sí es COVID had arrived. Cuando lo digo en orden, no. Recuerden que for the next action, para la acción siguiente uso simple past, pero para la acción previa uso past perfect, right? Entonces, I am talking about that. Because, well, what you have to know is that the COVID had arrived to Colombia. Ready? After that, like 2 years later, in 2022, yes, the people started to come back to normal, so we have come back to normal since the 2022. Everything has been reestablishing, no? The merchants have tried to jump back. It means como like volver a, how do you say that? How would you say that in Spanish? Jump back. Como reponerse, ready. So the merchants have tried to jump back, no? And since that year, well, since the year 2020 until now, 2023, the people, and especially me, have been working from home. Ready? So in that case, I told you the whole story with a series of events connected with different connectors, of course, right? Like since that time, since 2022, in 2022, after that, before that, yes. Other expressions like, for example, the next thing we knew, the next thing we knew it's an expression that it's like lo próximo que supimos fue que, you know, like the next thing we knew, or other one that it was like a what you have to know is what you have to know. Yeah, what you have to know is that. Do you understand the expression? What you have to know is that da, da, da. Do you know what is the meaning of that expression? What you have to know is.
Mm, I don't know. Lo que tú has conocido es.
Careful. In that case, is have to, no have known, sino have to know. Que es diferente have known. Have known sí
Ok.
sería lo que tú has
Has
conocido.
conocido, has
Pero,
tenido que saber.
excelente. Entonces, in that case, lo que tienes que saber, no es present perfect, sino simple present. Entonces, lo que tienes que saber es que ta, 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 ta. Entonces, I told you,
Okay.
what you have to know is that 2 months before, the COVID had arrived to Colombia. So that's the reason why the salary came down, right? So it's something similar to what I did with my experience of the motorcycle. I was riding my motorcycle. ¿Cierto? With my girlfriend, and we were in Bogota's downtown. And what you have to know is that we were riding on the 19th Street. Bueno, I don't know if you know Bogota, no sé si conoces Bogotá, but in the 19th Street, la calle 19, it's very crowded and full of homeless people, right? So, digo, what you have to know, lo que tienes que saber es que ta, 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 ta. Yes. I was riding very concentrated. Fortunately, I was concentrated. And the next thing we knew, lo próximo que supe, or the next thing I knew, is that a homeless person standing in front of the motorcycle. So, hago lo mismo. I am telling a story, connecting the ideas, depending the connector that I need, no? Maybe despite the traffic, the homeless person wasn't standing there. Usó otros conectores, por ejemplo, despite, que ya sabemos qué es, ¿no? Entonces, I can use all all the resources for connecting the ideas, right? Today, we're going to focus in two different kinds of connectors. First, the connectors of, well, other connectors of time, especially created for the storytelling, right? Bueno, later, ya sabes qué es, the next day, you know what is that. As soon as, ya sabes, the moment, the same, no? We have others, for example, afterwards. Afterwards is, of course, similar to after, but it's going to work different. For example, I said, I was in a funeral, comma. Afterwards, lo que hace es que me dice que después de la acción anterior. Entonces, I was in a funeral. Afterwards, we went to a bar. No sé, we went to a bar. Yes, because we were depressed. Entonces, ese afterward, it means después, pero después de qué? After the funeral. Yes, it's something similar to after. Yes, it's like another option. Later, of course, it's similar to after, or the next, and then the expression of time. The next day, the next thing, yes. Como hablo de la acción siguiente, the action is going to be in simple past, right? We went, simple past, easy, right? The same it happens when I use these connectors of simultaneous actions. When, as soon as, the moment, yes? I talk about two actions that happen at the same time, right? As soon as I go to work, my boss asks to speak with me, right? Both actions in simple past. As soon as I got to work, my boss asked to speak with me. Ready? With the example of the homeless person. Like when I saw the man, when I saw the man, when I saw him, I tried to break. I tried to break, or I tried to stop. ¿Cierto? Two actions simultaneous in which both actions are in simple past. Nada del otro mundo, right? But we have other connectors that are going to help me to go back in a story. Up until then, hasta ese momento, before that, antes de eso, or until that time, yes, hasta ese momento. Usually these connectors are talking about something that happened previously of another action in the past. So the action that we have after these connectors is going to be in past perfect. Ready? Because what I said is that something had happened or hadn't happened before that, until that time, or up until then. For example, up until then, in the example of the accident, right? Up until then, I had been driving, bueno, yes, let's say driving very fast. After that, of course, I drove, yes, like what I say afterwards, after I drove slowly. I make a change. In the first part, I use up until then. It's a previous action. So the sentence is in past perfect. I had been driving. Ready? After, the expression for a next action, then it's in simple past. Okay. After that, I drove very slowly. Ready? So the connectors in this case are going to determine also what is the kind of, or what tense of verb I have to use. Is it simple past, past continuous, present perfect, past perfect, or also even present perfect or present perfect continuous. Is Andre? Good?
Yes, teacher.
Perfect.
The connectors are the best form to know the which sentence, which tense you can use
Yes,
in the
exactly.
next phrase,
Exactly. In the story, it
in
is
the
like
next
that.
sentence.
Uh-huh. In the story, it influences a lot. We have other different kind of connectors, like for example, unless or only if, it's not so important. But in this case, it's really important, right? Because it's going to determine the order of the events. And with the order of the events, we determine if it's past perfect or simple past or past continuous. That's it, right? Bueno, Andre, very good. So those are the first connectors. They are easy because they are connectors that you already are familiar with. The new connectors are going to be these ones. These are expressions that we use when we are telling a story. And they have three different functions. One of the function is to go forward. Go forward in the story, So it means add information, ready? But basically we are going to have the first use, it's going to be start a sentence, start a story. Start a story, yes. The next one is add information, and the second one is concluding or closing a story. Closing a story, ready? For example, in the first time that I was telling you the experience, la primera vez que te estaba contando el susto, I told you, bueno, to make a long story short, is an expression that means para hacerte el cuento corto. What do you think, Andre, that is the purpose of that expression? Starting, closing, or adding information?
Closing.
Exactly. So those expressions, depending the expression, it's going to be classified in one of the three categories. In adding information, sometimes we can go forward. Ahora sí, go forward, it means avanzar en la historia. Other ones, we can go back in the story. Devolver, yes, so it depends, right? Entonces, let's check connector by connector, and then you tell me what do you think? It's for starting, for continuing the story, or for closing the story, right? Number one, I will never forget the time. What do you think? What's the use of that expression?
Nunca olvidaré el momento.
Nunca olvidaré la vez que. So what do you think? Starting, adding information, or close?
Start.
Exactly. So that's gonna be for starting the sentence, the story, no? Entonces, You start, no, teacher, I will never forget the time that I was taking care of the wounds of my father because I don't like blah, blah, blah. But that is a good way to start the story, right? Number two, the thing you have to know is
Is the same. La cosa que tú debes saber es.
exactly
Lo que debes saber es.
lo que es saber, la cosa que tienes que saber es ta, ta, ta. What do you think?
Teacher, I have
Starting?
a doubt.
Yes, of course.
Start. Start. Em, Cuando uno, por ejemplo, quiere hacer como un paréntesis, que pasa mucho cuando uno está contando una historia, que quiere hacer como un paréntesis, o cuando quiere decir, ay, se me olvidaba que, porque a veces
Ujú,
a uno le olvida algo, entonces uno se devuelve.
exacto. Bueno, actually, esta expresión justamente te sirve para eso, para hacer un paréntesis. No siempre empieza, no siempre para iniciar, sino que estás contando algo y uno dice como, no, es que le dije a Andrea que me ayudara con un trabajo de química. Bueno, lo que tienes que saber, y entonces ahí entra el paréntesis, lo que tienes que saber es que Andrea es ingeniera ambiental, entonces ella va a.
Ah, ok.
Entonces, esa expresión justamente me ayuda a hacer ese paréntesis. Para lo que se me olvidó, bueno, de todo hay un poquito de expresiones acá. Tengo esta, mira. I forgot to mention that. I
Ok.
forgot to mention that. O simplemente I forgot that. Olvidé que, ta, 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 o se me olvidó mencionar que, ta, 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 ta. Right? Entonces, ambas son para incluir información. Yes, including or adding information. This one can be going forward or going backwards. Puede ser para el frente, o sea, hacia el frente o hacia atrás en la historia. I forgot to mention, sí, obviamente es hacia atrás, porque te vas a devolver algo que olvidaste mencionar, right? Entonces, that's it. ¿Listo? Entonces, yes, eso es lo que justamente puedes hacer con estas expresiones, right?
Yes, teacher.
Listo. The number three, it's it all started when. It all started when.
Todo comenzó cuando.
O sea, it's for
Juan.
exactly for starting the story, ¿no? Esto comenzó cuando, ta, ta, ta. Next, what happened was,
Lo que pasó fue.
ajá, usualmente también puedo incluir aquí, what happened was that, t, 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 t. Entonces, what do you think?
To start.
To start as, oh my God, a story?
Story.
Okay, could
Yes.
be starting a story. Also to add information, pues digamos que cuando dice, no, lo que pasó fue que ta, 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 pero previamente ya has dicho algo, como que vas a recomenzar la historia, ¿no? Como, ah, sí te conté casi me estrello. No, no, es que lo que pasó fue que ta, 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 right? Entonces puede ser como una segunda expresión, como para empezar, incluyendo más información, right? ¿Vale? Muy bien, very good.
Yes, teacher.
What about meanwhile?
I don't know.
Meanwhile it
Suena
means,
como,
¿a qué te suena? Tell me.
como mientras, no sé,
Yes, exactly. Mientras tanto.
mientras tanto. Ah,
Exactly,
ok.
right? Entonces, meanwhile, it's of course for adding information. Of course, I can have going forward or going backwards. Usually going forward, usualmente para continuar en la historia. Algunas veces para devolverme, ¿no? So, but usualmente para continuar en la historia. ¿Listo? Now,
Yes,
I
teacher.
said, and in the end, o algunas veces lo he escuchado, at the end, also, at the end. What do you think?
Al final,
Ajá. So,
to closing a story.
exactly, of course, to close a story, right? So at the end, this happened. That's it, right? Another expression that you can use for going backwards. That reminds me of when. That reminds me of when. Any ideas?
Teacher, reminds es recordar.
Yes, solo que cuando digo remember es porque yo lo recuerdo solito. Si algo me recuerda a algo, ahí sí es remind.
Eso me recordó. ¿Cuándo?
Exactly. So eso eso me acuerda cuando,
Ah,
right?
yeah, okay. To add information, a
Yes,
story.
exactly. To add information. Yes, very good. That's it. Ah, bueno, esta ya la hemos visto. The next thing we knew.
Lo próximo que sabremos.
Lo próximo que supimos in the past.
Lo próximo que supimos.
Exactly, right? So, no sé, we were traveling and we had an accident. The next thing we knew, we were in a hospital, no sé qué. Entonces, como para saltarse un pedazo, dice como no sé, pero lo próximo que supimos fue que right? Of
Okay.
course, is for
To add information.
exactly, adding information. That's it, right? What about if I say, so later on?
Entonces, después o
Yes,
luego.
exactly. Yes. It's similar to later, no? So later on,
Sí.
right? So is for adding information,
Yeah.
right? Very good, excellent. To make a long story short, para hacer el cuento corto, para hacer la historia corta, right? So, of course, for closing information, for closing a story. Here, I have got to tell you about.
Mm, es como te tengo que decir acerca de,
Te tengo que contar, right? Bueno, en este caso es más como te tengo que contar, aunque también podría decir, pero normalmente
pero
pues
en
la
este
expresión
caso es
es
contar.
exacto, te tengo que
Eh,
contar.
to add information.
To add information, if it's in the middle of the story, of course, or if it's the first story, the first action, the first expression, to start a story. No,
To
like,
start.
ay, André, te tengo que contar. I have to tell you about that. Yes. Muy bien, very good, honey. And the other one is, the other thing is,
Lo otro es que, o la otra cosa es que,
uh-huh,
to add information.
to add information can be going forward or can be going backward. For example, no, the other thing is that I hit my leg in the accident and no sé qué, voy continuando. Pero puedo volver. The other thing is that I had a terrible day before, so I can use the other thing for going forward or going backward, but in both cases is for adding or including extra information, right? And the last one, so finally,
Entonces, finalmente.
exactly. Yes, of course, that so it's going to be included in all of that, no? It's going to be replaced. Look, as you can see, so later on, so finally.
Yo utilizo mucho el so, pero me falta es later on, so fine.
Ajá. Entonces el so, ¿no? El so es súper popular, and it's used in all the contexts, right? What you have to do is to mix it. It's only
Y
mixing,
yo
no?
creo que yo lo hago es porque precisamente he escuchado cuando la gente lo utiliza como en forma de muletilla. Teacher, how do you say muletilla?
Muletilla, it's filler. Filler porque digamos que es como un llenador de espacios, es decir, lo que hace
Okay.
es llenar los espacios, los silencios incómodos, ¿no? Entonces,
Yeah.
so, exactly, muy bien, very good. Listo, entonces, all of these connectors are used for talking about, for telling a story, yes? For example, you could say, teacher, the last time, well, I have got to tell you about the last Saturday when I was healing or I was taking care of my father's stitches. Stitches es como los puntos, ¿no? Stitches. Ready? Stitches. Because he, like, what you have to know is that he had had surgery before, right? Because the doctor had found some stones in the vessel, right? So later on, my father was moving on, Entonces, telling the same story, la misma historia, but using other connectors, he's going to tell me like, no jodas, ¿verdad? Bueno, anyway, I was interested, de todas maneras, sí estaba interesado en la historia, but it's going to catch my attention like, oh, no, really? Oh my God. So that's the purpose of these connectors, right? Usually they are used when we are telling about a story or when we are telling about a piece of news, which is at the end, it's going to be a story. For example, no sé, when we are talking about the news, I could say, for example, no, no sé, let's say, it all started when a couple was, I don't know, I'm going to tell you a real piece of news that what happened was that they were celebrating a baby shower in a rooftop in a fourth floor, and a couple was like, against the wall. Against the wall, it's like contra el muro, against the wall. And the next thing that they knew is that the wall was falling down, and unfortunately, the couple fell after the wall.
Mm.
And well, to make a long story short, the couple died and the woman was pregnant, right? So
Yeah.
it's like telling a piece of news is telling a story. Basically, it's like that. Yeah, it's using same situation, same connectors, same past tenses. It's the same. Ready, Andre?
Yes, teacher.
Questions, my dear, over here? Problems? Anything?
No. De pronto como las expresiones para cuando uno es el que está escuchando la historia.
Of course, right? Important. Well, depending on the reaction that you want to express, you would say, "Oh my God," OMG, OMG, which is like, oh my God, yes, or all complete, my God, simply my God. Or you could say, for example, shoot. It's an expression that can replace shit, right? If you don't want to sound vulgar, you could say just shoot, no way. No way, it's another way, like no digas, no way, right? What other? ¿Cuál otra se te ocurre? Like, what other expression do you use?
Como cuando uno dice no te lo puedo creer.
Of course. Actually, voy a responder eso con un meme, wait. Wait. I'm having here the right one. Look, the correct expression, are you for real? Are you for real? It means like, are you kidding? We have a lot of different variations of this expression.
Okay.
Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you for real? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It means como me estás jodiendo, no, it
Sí,
cannot
sí.
be real. Are you kidding me? Or simply, literal, you could say, I can't believe it. I can't believe. You could have, I can't believe you, or I can't believe it, right? No te lo puedo creer, o
O no
no
lo puedo
lo
creer.
puedo creer, exactly, right?
Okay, teacher.
Good, excellent, good questions. Bueno, Andre, any idea, any other question?
No, teacher.
No,
It's
all
very
fine.
well. It's complex. Maybe to mix the tense, but the history is are more common.
Yes, of course, right. Bueno, Andre, the last thing is I would like you to find an impressive story, real, fictional, I don't know. Could be about you, could be about that piece of news that you listen, something that happened in Medallo, no sé. Tell me a story, your choice.
Well, yesterday I was in my work, and it all started when a woman, mm, we said that other person, um, mm, teacher, how do you say amenazar?
Threat. Threat?
Threat.
Exactly.
Other
Threat.
person threat to her
Oh my God. Okay.
with with a weapon.
With a knife, right? Oh,
I don't know. Primero ella dijo como un arma, pero no
okay,
sabíamos qué
weapon.
tipo de arma.
Okay, got it.
Mm, so later on, eh, mm, my coworkers and me, coworkers,
Yes.
¿cierto?
Yeah.
Were very mm, worried for that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So later on, we called to the policeman.
Okay.
Mm, so, uh, meanwhile, the man that had a had a weapon uh, was hidden.
Ay, my God. Okay.
So when the policeman arrived, um, uh, the man had uh, hide the weapon. Is correct.
Also had hidden
Had
because it's the
hidden
past participle. Had hidden the weapon. Uh-huh.
the weapon. So the policeman mm, uh, looked for very well the weapon,
Mm-hmm.
and so mm, he find the weapon, and mm, the next thing that we knew uh, was the weapon uh, mm, the weapon was fake gun,
Ah, but it was a gun. Oh my God.
but fake.
But anyway, when a person takes out a gun, the people get scared and they don't see if it's fake or real.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, muy bien. This one, very good. That was a really
More or
good
less.
story.
¿Cómo me fue, profe?
Yes, in general, it was pretty good. What I mean, when you told me what it was the most difficult part, mixing the tenses, no? But
Yes,
the order
yes,
of the story and the use of the connectors, what you have to use is replacing the so for others, no? Like you use so later on, good. And the last one could be so finally. So finally, the police found the weapon, and the next thing we knew, well, finally, the police found that it was a fake gun, for example. But in general, it was good. Careful when it's long action, for example, or a previous action, for example. A woman told us that another person, y ahí tienes dos opciones, la estaba amenazando o la había amenazado. Si es la había amenazado, had threatened her, o si es la estaba amenazando, was threatening her, like with a gun, with a weapon, right? Que fue lo único así como raro. De resto, bien, perfecto. Incluso el past perfect está perfecto. Bien. Lo que te faltó fue el past participle del verbo, pero ese past perfect estuvo muy bien, right? Entonces, in general terms, it's good. Es solamente cuestión de hacerlo más veces para que se vuelva mecánico el uso de los tres pasados, pero el resto, bien, André, right? How do you feel? ¿Cómo te sentiste? Good?
good. But it's complex.
The vocabulary is complex sometimes, right?
Sí, y yo creo que, bueno, el vocabulario uno se lo aprende, pero uno piensa mucho cuando va a mezclar los tiempos.
Yes. Anyway, o sea, de todas maneras, igual la historia estuvo súper clara, que como que uno diría, bueno, pues para que sea completamente clara, pues la haría así, pero de todas maneras la historia fue clara, entonces eso es lo
Sí.
importante, ¿right? Por ahí yo puse un sticker en el grupo, no sé si lo viste, que es como, bueno, igual de todas maneras la gente siempre va a encontrar un otro error, entonces lo importante no es como quedarse en los errores que uno comete, sino más bien al contrario, pasarlos por alto y seguir contando la historia que de todas formas estaba siendo muy claro. Entonces, es como no quedarse en esos errores porque finalmente son detalles muy pequeños que no afectan la comunicación. Y obviamente, pues sí, tratar de aprenderlo, digamos, como los tiempos, la mezcla de los tiempos, pero que si no cometió un error, pues tampoco es tan grave porque igual la historia se entiende. ¿Eso? ¿Right?
Teacher, so finally, the man was fired.
Fired.
Or how do you say como despedido?
O sea, it was an employee
Yes,
of your job?
yes,
No way, come
yes,
on.
because he's a uh, he's a danger person.
Mm,
Although he had a fake bond. Uh, he uh, he treat
he,
the other
he threat, yes.
he treat
Mhm. No, of
of
course, he's a
the
dangerous
coworker.
person. My God.
Yeah.
I thought that it was a person in the street. Yo pensé que era alguien en la calle. I thought it was a person in the
No,
street.
alguien del trabajo.
Ay, my God, these people. I know. Bueno, Andre, perfect. It was good. So, my dear, that's the idea in this week for. The idea is simply just learning other different ways to connect ideas, especially when we're telling about stories, right? My dear,
Yeah.
checkpoint of the week number 4. It's super easy. It's only one part and it's written. Ready? That checkpoint is going to be about sleeping. Sleeping deprivation. It means la falta de sueño. Ready? What you
Okay.
have to do is to write a text, not so long, 1 or 2 paragraphs is going to be fine, in which you can describe what are the effects of not sleeping. Ready? What are the effects, the negative effects of, well, if it has a positive effect, you can tell me, but most probably it's going to be the negative effects of not sleeping well. The idea is that you can use the connectors of all different categories that we have used. Ready? Connectors of time. If you want to introduce this kind of connectors, it's all fine. You can also exemplify your opinion or the information. For example, no sé, studies or research point out that the lack of sleeping causes t, 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 t. For example, as soon as I wake up, I drink a glass of water because okay, because I want to feel more active, okay. I always sleep 8 hours unless I have too much work. Y ya, that's it, no? Como connecting the ideas that you want to express using the connectors that we have learned. Relative clauses, connectors of contrast, all of the kind of connectors that we have learned. Okay, Andre?
Okay, teacher. Thank
That's
you
it.
very much.
No, thanks to you for being here. And that's it. See you the next week. We have 2 classes the next week, 5.1 and 5.2. Okay.
Okay, teacher. Thank you very much.
Have a good night and a good weekend. Okay.
Good night, teacher. Bye
Goodbye. See
bye.
you soon. Bye.